Hand pies. I have none to show you because they're all gone, but I'll tell you how I did it. Welcome to Kay's Little Kitchen. This weekend I made hand pies for my family. And you may be wondering, what on earth is a hand pie? Well, it's just a pie in the shape and size that you can hold in your hand easily. And so I made that this weekend for my family and my daughter and future son-in-law that were visiting. And it was such rave reviews. It was incredible. So I thought I would share with you guys how I did it. I've started teaching myself how to preserve and can things. Today I was actually trying to make my own apple pie filling so that I could can and put away. You could do this skinning step with an apple core slicer contraption. I do actually have one of those gadgets, but I just find this to be a lot faster and easier. Once you get the hang of quickly taking off an apple peel, you really don't need a gadget. It happens really fast. I was able to do all my apples within 5 minutes. After skinning your apples, I just use the apple slicer and pick them up and cut them into chunks. Use your own judgment for however you want to chunk your apples. If you want nice, long, thin slices to make a really classy looking apple pie, cut it that way. I preferred to go ahead and do chunks this time because I did have hand pies in my mind, and I'll also be using the leftovers that I canned up. That's going to go for a nice apple crisp, and I like chunks of apple for that as well. The how-to guide for making my apple pie filling that I was canning and putting up comes from this book, The Home Preserving Guide by Ball, and I love it. For the apple pie filling, they use clear gel in this recipe instead of pectin, and I find that my large canister of clear gel has gone a lot further and done way more than any packages of pectin that I have gotten my hands on and used in the past. In fact, I still haven't used all of my clear gel. In with the pectin goes sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and apple juice. That gets whisked together, and then we'll add heat. You want to whisk this as you introduce the heat, just to make sure there are no lumps and bumps in your basically apple broth, and then you'll add apples. You don't have to stir this mixture constantly. You actually want to kind of leave the apples and the apple broth alone to come together nicely. But every once in a while, just to avoid burning on the bottom, go ahead and give it a stir. Hopefully you can tell that the apples have really become kind of puffy and they're very soft. I can feel how soft they are. And this is done. Now you have apple pie filling that's ready for any application that you want. You can find my simple, easy butter crust recipe on my website. It is so versatile. You can do so many things with this recipe. I love it. So for hand pies, you're going to want your crust to be a little more on the thick side because you are frying it. You're also going to be putting some heavy pie filling into your hand pies, and you want the crust to be able to handle all of that. I used the biggest biscuit cutter that I have because I wanted the biggest hand pies that I possibly had. But you're going to see a mistake that I made here. I needed to make way more crust dough because my initial thought was to make dumpling style hand pies to be able to roll over. But I used the wrong cookie dough scoop for filling my hand pies. So I ended up having to use double the crust to make my hand pies. I used water to wet the edges to make sure that my crusts stuck together. And then I went around with a fork to press in to make sure that those seams were sealed together. You'll want to be careful with dabbing the sides of your hand pies at this point because excess moisture will cause that bottom crust to stick to the counter and you'll tear your pies up lifting them up to put them in the fryer. The oil was heated to 375 and I dropped in 3 hand pies at a time so that I didn't crowd the fryer. And also, the more product you put into hot oil, it causes it to cool down. So that's why you only want to do a few hand pies at a time. My hand pies would actually float as they were finishing frying. You'll notice that beautiful brown crust you can see, and that means I need to get these out. You've got to let the hand pies cool before you dip them in your glaze, or you'll burn your fingers. The glaze I used was simply powdered sugar, butter, vanilla extract, and a little bit of heavy cream to make the consistency that I wanted. There you have it, fried hand pies. They really are delicious. Thanks for watching, y'all. Have a good one.